Hey, hey! Welcome back to Searching for Service. How's it going, Chad? Lloyd?
Good.
What's going on?
Great guest this week.
Awesome.
Who's the guest?
Yeah, thank you. And just a reminder real quick before we do introduce our guests is this show is geared towards Rotarians and non-Rotarians seeking service. And we're hoping to really help educate and tell some great stories and have great guests on like Lloyd. I'm Joe Kirk.
I'm Chad Larson.
And we're your hosts. And we have Lloyd Campbell today. But you should have been number one.
Well, thank you for that. But I think we were talking earlier. I love being in the background, making sure everything happens. So I enjoy that.
Well, thank you so much for coming into the spotlight today. And for those of you that are not familiar with Lloyd, Lloyd is the district governor for District 5950. That's half of our show where we are 5950 and 5960. So happy to have you on. And you're familiar with the show, so let's start chatting about Lloyd.
Okay.
Lloyd, how did you get involved in service?
Oh, wow. I guess that's a simple question to answer. I'm from a little small town in Arkansas, of all places, and it's an all-black town. And my father was a city councilman, and one of the things that he taught us is to always give back. So as a little kid, I used to carry around a little, tub with me and go around and collect donations for the Red Cross, the Heart Association, and things like that. So service was a part of our DNA.
Making Daddy look good, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially if you're a little kid knocking on the door. Can you please give to the... Yeah, so, it was fun. So service was always part of my DNA. It became extremely important for me when I went to college. But I actually joined a service fraternity, where it is the first black fraternity. And it was started out at Cornell. And... we used to do a lot of service projects, so I always felt like you have to give back.
In your DNA.
Yeah, you have to give back. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah,
that's awesome that you learned very early on. Because I don't think I know I didn't. I had my butt wiped for me my own entire life. So I didn't really understand the power of service until even 3-4 years ago. Like truly. And that's so amazing, and I've been really inspired by that to bring it into my kids' lives too. Because you can really tell in knowing you a little bit more how much it is part of your DNA. And so, thanks for all of your service that you've done.
well, thank you. I think as individuals we like to, impact the world, and one of the ways we can do that is through service. Mm-hmm. So. It's always interesting when I meet someone new and they say, well, what do you want to do with your life? I said, I want to make a difference in the world. They look at you and say, really? I said, but I can do that through Rotary. Yeah. Or I can do that through my church or through some other organizations. But Rotary has been the thing that really helped me to have an impact on people's lives, both locally and internationally. So I really enjoy it.
That's good.
What brought you to Minnesota and was, I know you're in Glenwood was where you're a Rotarian. Was that your first club that you joined?
Yes, it was the first club. To be honest, I'm a typical person who joined Rotary without, a traditional Rotary background. Yep. Small town. The reason I'm in Minnesota is because of my wife. Yep. We used to live in Japan. And when we decided to come back to the States, one of the things that we did, we actually looked around the whole country, and we took a couple weeks traveling, doing different things. And 3 places really popped up for us. First, I have one child who's autistic, so that means I need special education for him. The other one is on the other end of the scale. He was doing math when he was 3 years old. He was scary. So we looked for a place that was had a great educational background, that really felt great about diversity. So 3 places popped up: California, New York, and Minnesota, believe it or not. And we looked at every place because we've had an opportunity to live in a lot of places in the U.S. California, I loved, but I just could not afford.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Expensive place to live.
Oh, and this was maybe 20-some years ago. We looked at a little place for $1 million, and I'm just saying, you got to be kidding me. Yeah. Where can I get that down payment? New York, the weather and the price wasn't that much different.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
it was
Expensive
about the
place to
same.
live as
It was
well.
very expensive. But then when we looked at Minnesota, I said, wow, a lot of people just don't know about this place. So we moved here and just had a great time. We love Minnesota.
What's your favorite part of Minnesota? Like, what's your favorite part of the culture?
The diversity is probably the most important thing. And Rotary International, of course, is pushing that. Now, when I say diversity, that also means usually in a urban area, because once you get outside the urban areas, there are some places that are not as diverse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the diversity. I love the food that's here. I guess you could tell if they could see me on camera that I love the food. And I love the camaraderie. I think one of the things when you live anywhere, you want to have friends. You want to have people you can talk to. And when you live in an environment where you have that, you feel at home. So Minnesota makes me feel at home.
That's good to hear. Rod?
You two look like you have something to say.
we both simultaneously, like, we're like, Chad has been doing an amazing job filling in for Kelly, and it's funny, we keep joking, we're like, we missed the signal.
Yeah, that's a signal to say, okay, it's your time to talk. Yeah. Okay.
Like, when you got into Rotary, kind of take us through really quick. We've got about 4 minutes. Like, your journey through, like, how did you start, and then what brought you to here?
Oh, okay. Only 4 minutes, huh? Oh man.
we can cover it again in the next segment.
Okay. I started off this conversation by saying service is part of my DNA. So that's what attracted me to Rotary. One of the first things that happened to me when I joined the Rotary Club, the Glenwood Rotary Club, a gentleman, Dave Peterson, I don't know if I should call his name, actually told me, you're not a Rotarian. So when you walk through this community, people are going to look at you and you represent Rotary. So it's going to be important that you do a couple of things. One, you hold up our high standard. Yeah, okay, I could do that. And the other one, too, is to, if you see other people you think that could be great Rotarians, invite them to come to either our clubs, to our club meetings, or to one of our projects. So that started me on this trail of talking to people about Rotary, about becoming Rotarians. And it was interesting. I learned so much in a very short period of time. I talked to people my age and younger who were saying, it's an older club. I'll wait till I retire. And I'm saying, what? The thing that used to interest me the most is they would say, this is an old white man's club. And I'm sure people know I'm black, so
it is radio.
Yeah. So the first radio, yeah, it's radio. So the first thing that would run through my mind is, I don't think you're quite a Rotarian if you can't figure this out. But one of the things I learned about Rotary is in transition. Yeah. Rotary is an organization where, when you look at it from the international standpoint, we are as diverse as you can be. When we look at it on some of our club levels, we're not. So we're at that stage now where we are trying to move for our clubs to reflect the community. So I got involved with the Glenwood Rotary Club. It was, probably 20 years behind with technology and some of the things. We say internet and they'll look at you and smile. And so I helped build their website, did some things, got on the board, did international service with them, and sort of caught the bug for Rotary. And then Irene Kelly asked me to be the district membership chair. And I loved it. I got a chance to visit clubs. It's interesting, too, when you go and start visiting clubs, you see how different Rotary clubs are in different locations. And that actually means that if you join Rotary, you got to make sure you're in the right club.
Yeah.
Because there are some clubs, people just hang back, be quiet, and never rocked the boat. And then there are some clubs that are just zip, 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 moving all the time, involved in local, international projects, moving things around all the time. So that's extremely important that you're in the right club. And, I said I wanted to make a difference. And for me to make a difference, I had to first start off as being a district membership chair, and then I thought about becoming district governor. So
that's a process. I mean,
it is.
It's a 3-year process, correct?
Oh, it is. It's a 3-year process, 3 years of training, and the training doesn't stop once you become a DJ because you're still doing training. So. Yeah, and then you have to figure out what you're going to do afterwards. So.
Well, that's a perfect tease for our next segment is that we will talk about that.
Okay.
Or we can always save it for the end of the show of like, what are you doing next? But we'll figure that out.
Yeah, you see the expression on my face. Like, I have to get permission from my wife first to figure out what I'm going to be doing next.
Smart man. Well, just as a reminder, everybody, thanks for Thanks for listening to Searching for Service, and we'll be back. I'm your host, Joe Kirk, with
Chad Larson.
See you soon. Rotary is a place for all community-minded people who want to serve their areas with the support of an international organization. Join Rotary to find service. Join Rotary to find inclusion. Join Rotary to find leadership. Join Rotary to find fun. Join Rotary to find friendship. Join Rotary to find a better version of the world. Find a Rotary Club near you at Rotary.org and click on Club Finder. There is a club out there for everyone. Find your fit with Rotary. Rotary.org.
For decades, eradicating polio worldwide has been Rotary's cornerstone cause. We are incredibly close to ridding the globe of this virus, but we need everyone's help to get us to the goal. World Polio Day is October 24th. Please consider making a new donation to Polio Plus or increasing your already generous giving. Go to endpolio.org to be a part of this historical eradication of polio. You will help get vaccinations to the most remote parts of our world and help fulfill a promise we made to end polio now. 2 drops and it stops.
Don't miss Leonard Skinner, Darius Rucker, REO Speedwagon, and Tyler Hubbard at Lakefront Music Fest, July 14th and 15th at Lakefront Park in Prior Lake. Leonard Skinner headlines July 14th with REO Speedwagon and Blackstone Cherry. Darius Rucker headlines July 15th with Tyler Hubbard of Florida Georgia Line and Joe Nichols. Tickets available at lakefrontmusicfest.com. That's lakefrontmusicfest.com. Produced by Prior Lake Rotary.
Riverbend Nature Center is a free, nonprofit natural habitat in Faribault, Minnesota, with 743 acres, the Straight River, and 10 miles of trails. Despite no public funding, it offers educational programs to almost 10,000 youth and families annually. Riverbend seeks your feedback on its new strategic plan at rbnc.org/strategic-planning by March 30th. Thank you for your time.
Welcome back to Searching for Service. I'm your host, Joe Kirk, with...
I'm Chad Larson, and we got Lloyd Campbell, District Governor, with us today.
Glad to be here.
District 5950.
Is there any other one? I mean, come on.
Well, we got to thank our sponsor, 5950 and 5960.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, okay. Oh, I'm going to get phone calls on that one.
And his number is...
Before the break, we were talking about kind of your process through Rotary and as being the district governor. So how long have you been the district governor now?
It's will be coming up on a year in about 85 days. Not that I'm counting, because that's when my term ends. So the term as a district governor is only 1 year. So the thing about being a district governor, or even just being part of Rotary, is that it has to be fun.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing for me, because, when you have a job and you wake up in the morning, you sit around and say, is this fun? And if it's not fun, you stay in bed. So one of the things that you want to do is to make sure it's fun. So, yeah, Rotary. And I don't think a lot of people think of Rotary as something that's fun.
They should.
Yeah, they should. We have a heck of a lot of fun. Our founder, Paul Harris, once said that one of the fundamental things about Rotary is the fellowship and the friendship that we develop. And that's the thing that's the glue that keeps us together. Yeah. So if we're not having fun, we're not being good Rotarians.
Yeah,
right.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
So What were some of the big things that you tried to implement in your time as a governor, and how have things gone?
I only have 1 year.
Yeah, I know. Quick too.
Yeah, one of the things that we try to do is focus on our Rotary Action Plan. It has 4 parts, and one of them is to reach out into different communities, to reach out to those folks that don't know anything about Rotary. And I'm one of them. I had no idea what Rotary was until I actually was invited to a club meeting and saw some of the projects. And that's also part of the brainchild for this radio show, this podcast, is that it gives us the opportunity to reach out and touch people that had no idea about Rotary. Mm-hmm. And I'm so thankful and really, I'm not trying to blow smoke up you guys, but privileged to be around you two and the work that you do to make this show a success. And the things that I've heard have just been positive about the show. And it's given us an opportunity to reach out and let people know if they're looking for service, if they're looking for an opportunity for fellowship, camaraderie, Rotary is actually the place to be. I think that old image of Rotary, we're trying to chip away at it.
Yeah. I know when I met you, before I met you, that was my thought was, it's an old white organization, a lot of retirees, and I think I don't remember I told you, well, I don't know if it's really a fit for me. And then as we've gotten to know you and gotten to know Joe and visited some clubs, I saw it had changed significantly from what I had thought. So I was very similar to that and had that wrong idea about it.
And that's something that we're working hard at trying to change our image in a sense. Now, we do have some clubs that are slow to change. Notice how I changed my cadence when I said that. They're slow to change. But, Rotary is an organization as far as clubs and meetings are concerned is that we want to meet our members. If we're in a town where everything moves at a different pace, that's what the Rotary Club should be. Yeah. If we're in a town where things are hopping and moving, that's what the Rotary Club should be. And we're flexible enough to meet both of those different type of environments.
Well, we forget about sometimes that everything follows the adoption curve, right? Yeah. So, as change happens, you'll have your early adopters, typically your clubs that are more progressive, more going, and then they model that behavior for the next group that then models the behavior for the next group. But as long as the direction it seems to be going in the positive direction, it'll get there.
Yeah, and
it just takes a little bit of time.
Absolutely, and it definitely takes time and patience too. Anytime you try something new, I think it's a misconception that when you try something new, it's going to happen all of a sudden. Right. It doesn't. It takes time. When you read about how podcast starts and what you think a good podcast audience should be, we're far past that. We are way past those numbers. But then when you talk to Rotarians, especially old Rotarians, I shouldn't say old Rotarians. Forgive me for that one. Rotarians, and you said podcast, and they give you that stare. Said, what's a podcast? I have to say it in a nice way. Is we're looking at a different demographic.
Right.
We're looking at that younger, active who want to give back to the community, want to provide service to the community, and that's what this show is pointed towards. So,
do you want some fun facts about podcasts? So 1% of podcasts make it past 2 episodes. 10% of podcasts make it past 2 episodes, and then 10% of the 10% make it past 20. So we have quickly approached 20. So we are in the 10% of the 10%. Maybe it is 1%. I can't remember.
You're pretty accurate. I think
but it's a very small amount. So I do think that it's worthwhile to champion. I'm so happy that we did the show and that we've continued to do the show and stick with it because it is working.
Oh yeah.
Chad is a prime example.
Well, when you and I first met, it was you, me, and Tom and Laura, and that's one thing I owning a radio station. You understand the podcasting, and knowing that. and this is, marketing is no different. It's consistency. It builds on itself. It doesn't happen overnight. It finds legs. So that was always, when we started talking, it was, this is a longer journey than let's test this, because if you're just testing, you don't get the audience, right, and you don't find your voice generally. Right,
and it takes time. Yep. And you have to be consistent, and I think that our district is in for this for the long haul. Yeah. Because we know what the impact can be. You've had some great guests, not counting me, but you've had some great guests on here, and I've only heard positive things from the guests and also from the audiences actually listen to the guests. So,
and I think we're just scratching the surface as we were talking. Yeah. You were, as we met earlier this week, it'll continue to amplify, because I think, when you talk to somebody it's a podcast. Well, it really is. You can get it, in so many different forms, over the radio, on a podcast. You can go to YouTube. You can go to really anywhere, and that breaks down some more of the barriers. Versus, we used to not refer to them as podcasts. We say on demand, but now it's that terminology's kind of ran its course. But right. So it will continue to grow too.
I think one of the things that has been the byproduct of this show that Rotary can use as kind of like this research. I mean, we've essentially done like a big giant experiment of, we keep asking all of these people kind of a similar set of questions over and over and over again, and going, what got you here? What keeps you here? What's going to draw more people? And it's literally the whole point of the show is helping people to find service. It's been the service component. The rest of the dynamic is a product of really great service to the communities.
That's where it starts. Everybody says the same.
Yeah, and everybody says the same thing. And it's like, and so that's where, like, when Rotary's testing these service-based clubs and these cause-based clubs, like, they're onto something there, because that's how people are starting to connect to Rotary versus, meet on 7:30 in the morning for a breakfast and all of that. Now, there's still that demographic of people that are going to meet for that, but we're being smart and proactive, and we're talking to our members, and we're talking to, other people like that. Like, how do you find Rotary, or how do you find places of service? And we're adapting to that. And I mean, we're a big machine. We're the Titanic of service.
Don't say Titanic. It's sank. Yeah, but you're absolutely right. When we look at our action plan, we talk about being engaging. We talk about being adaptable. And those are two key important things that you have to do. You have to be able to change with the times. If we don't, we miss opportunities. So I think that the show is definitely...
To bring it back to the metaphor, if the Titanic could pivot, it wouldn't have been sinking.
Right. It was just say, oh, that's an iceberg. Let me just turn around. And you're right. If they had that information...
That's right.
They would definitely...
And that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up against the segment. In the next one, let's talk a little bit about the Tri-District Conference coming up and what people can expect coming up in 2 weeks at Madden's on Gull Lake, April 29th from 10 to 4 p.m. Where can people find more info?
You can go to our website, the district website. You can also Google Tri-District website, and you can get information there. You can register. And I heard rumors that someone is going to put out a short video where you can press a button and also register too. That guy's, he has so much on his plate. I hope he gets around to doing it and promote it. Do I have time to start talking about it now, or
no? We'll come after break.
Okay, great. I'll relax and won't say anything there.
Thanks, Lloyd. Just as a reminder, you are listening to Searching for Service. I'm Joseph Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
See you on the flip. Rotary is a place for all community-minded people who want to serve their areas with the support of an international organization. Join Rotary to find service. Join Rotary to find inclusion. Join Rotary to find leadership. Join Rotary to find fun. Join Rotary to find friendship. Join Rotary to find a better version of the world. Find a Rotary Club near you at Rotary.org and click on Club Finder. There is a club out there for everyone. Find your fit with Rotary. Rotary.org.
For decades, eradicating polio worldwide has been Rotary's cornerstone cause. We are incredibly close to ridding the globe of this virus, but we need everyone's help to get us to the goal. World Polio Day is October 24th. Please consider making a new donation to Polio Plus or increasing your already generous giving. Go to endpolio.org to be a part of this historical eradication of polio. You will help get vaccinations to the most remote parts of our world and help fulfill a promise we made to end polio now. 2 drops and it stops.
Don't miss Leonard Skinner, Darius Rucker, REO Speedwagon, and Tyler Hubbard at Lakefront Music Fest, July 14th and 15th at Lakefront Park in Prior Lake. Leonard Skinner headlines July 14th with REO Speedwagon and Blackstone Cherry. Darius Rucker headlines July 15th with Tyler Hubbard of Florida Georgia Line and Joe Nichols. Tickets available at lakefrontmusicfest.com. That's lakefrontmusicfest.com. Produced by Prior Lake Rotary.
Riverbend Nature Center is a free, nonprofit natural habitat in Faribault, Minnesota, with 743 acres, the Straight River, and 10 miles of trails. Despite no public funding, it offers educational programs to almost 10,000 youth and families annually. Riverbend seeks your feedback on its new strategic plan at rbnc.org/strategic-planning by March 30th. Thank you for your time.
Hey, welcome back to Searching for Service. I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
And we've got the Lloyd Campbell in the house.
Yes, I'm here. Okay.
You've been doing great.
Before the break, I kind of teased it. We wanted to talk about the Tri-District Conference, which is 5650, 5660, and
5580.
5580.
Mm-hmm. That's out of Duluth.
Oh, that's the Duluth one. Okay. So that's coming up in a couple weeks. Tell us, just a little bit more about what people can expect.
Okay.
High level, and then we got some other questions for you.
Okay. It's what to expect. A fun time. The whole concept behind this was when we were sitting around saying, oh, we need to get together. The last couple of years we've been in COVID. Everybody's been virtual, and we hadn't had an opportunity to get out and see each other. And Rotary is based on fellowship and friendship and having the opportunity to, hang out and have a good time. So the 3 district governors said, well, let's do it together. Let's put it all together. And we have basically 3 different types of districts. We have, my district is, Minneapolis out to almost Fargo, out to Glenwood, almost say. And the other one is St. Paul, a little bit of Wisconsin and north here. And then we also have Duluth. Now, that area is part of Canada and all of North Dakota. Wow. So we had a huge area to cover. So a couple things we want to make sure. First we all get together. Second was that we wanted to make sure we have fun, but we also want to make it family friendly because that's extremely important for Rotary because, we all consider ourselves as family. Yeah. When I used to go around and talk to the clubs, the first thing I said, we're family. And family includes our kids and pets. And so we want to make sure we were at a location where all these elements could be together, and that's why we picked Madden's. It's a couple hours from here. So the options would be you can go for 3 days. You can come Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can come for 1 day, which is on Saturday, and that's the meat of the whole presentation. And it starts at 10 to 4, so it gives you enough time to,
get up, drive up, go there, and also drive back. Yeah. So you don't have to spend the night. And if you want to spend another day with the kids and play golf or do some other things, because Madden is one of those resorts where they have a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, they got everything.
Everything there. Everything that you want to do. And there's a big lake out there, too. Not that I'm a great fisherman, but that's why I keep my golf balls in the lake. So the location and the program sort of speaks to having it there. Now, the whole purpose of that is, A, camaraderie, B, the opportunity to learn more about Rotary and its goals and how all those things come together. So we're going to have a variety of speakers there. We're going to have, first, a house of friendship. And basically what that is the 3 districts are going to get together and display some of the things that they think that's important in their district. some of the big things they've done. I think one of our speakers is actually going to have a table there so you can purchase some of his books.
Yep.
And then we're going to have some learning experiences, some keynote speakers. We actually have a presidential rep, which I'm not going to tell her name yet, but if you go to the website, you'll see it. That's going to be there, and she's going to talk about the direction Rotary is taking now and some of the things that we want to do. One of the big things that we've been talking about over the last year is diversity, equity, and inclusion. We will have a workshop, a 2-hour workshop on that. The interesting thing about that is that the gentleman that's going to lead it actually told me my job is to make that difficult conversation easy.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when you talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, we look at it as saying black people talking to white people or different races talking to each other or different environments. But it's actually more than that. So he's going to show us how to do those difficult conversations. 2-hour workshop. It's going to be pretty good.
We've had a couple of the speakers on the show the last couple of weeks. So
oh yeah, I've heard
to tease some of that. So if you like those shows, if you're listening to this and you like those shows, it's an opportunity to see them live in person.
And the thing about Rotary is that we want you to grow. And we think that this is one of those things we can do to make you grow as an individual and as a person. So we hope that and the big deal about this, it's only $45.
Yeah.
In the past when we've had district conferences before, it's never been under $100.
Yeah.
And it's usually $150.
Now that doesn't include the lodging, right? Just for the event.
Just for the event. Yeah. So the registration is probably the least expensive that we ever had.
That's great.
And the purpose of that is to break down those barriers to get people to come and enjoy Rotary.
Yeah.
Rotary, I know I keep saying it's about fellowship and friendship, and this is an opportunity to meet those folks in St. Paul, to meet those folks in Duluth, and also meet some of the folks in Canada and North Dakota.
It's got to be a tricky district because you go across international lines.
Oh, yeah, it is. When I talked to the DG there, she says for
Bring
her
your
to get
passport to go to the meeting.
She has to have a passport. But also, some of her drives are 8 hours long.
Oh,
so, I'm saying, there's this thing called Zoom. That might be a good idea to use. But, yeah. So this is one of the highlight of the year. We're going to sort of wrap everything around about the things we've done. And we want people to walk away feeling good, having a great time, and improve their lot in life.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're about service. We're about giving back to the community, both local and international. And they can see how our district and the other districts is actually doing that. So it's great. So
that's awesome. That's so cool. Like I think we sometimes understate the importance of getting together in those big. Sometimes we're like, we're just going through the motions and we're just going to hear some speakers. But then every time you go to these things, you're like, oh, that's right. I haven't seen half of these people in 3 years. And like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's just I think people sometimes get overwhelmed by them because of the scale. But the reality is you can't meet everybody. So what tends to happen is you meet 4 or 5 good new relationships that you can latch onto, and then it's just like people just building out their networks little by little and figuring out how others are serving other communities and what's working. Like that's been the really fun thing about this show, to bring it back to that, is how other communities are serving their specific community because there's maybe a need that isn't
right,
that doesn't exist in your community, but does in theirs, and they're like, well, this is how we fix that. And they're like, holy cow.
Oh, right.
It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things about those meetings is that you sort of hit the nail on the head. You'll go around and you say, oh, man, it's 1,000 people here. But you're going to meet 4 or 5 people who are just like you.
Yep.
You sit down, they have the same values, think about the same things. And when you walk away from that meeting, you start to develop lifelong friends. Yep. And that's so important, too, when you
and then because you guys, like whoever your group is, you kind of handle things things similarly, is you learn from each other little subtleties that you can take back to your club and go, wow, I talked to so-and-so from the Duluth club and they do this. It's amazing. Like, you should have heard the buy-in from their club and how much it helped them, galvanize some of their membership. And I know that we've had this issue, and it seems to really pinpoint that. So it's just sharing and masterminding those ideas and thoughts.
Yeah, and you also hit the nail on the head too about.
I do that a lot. They call me the Hammer.
Okay, Mr. Hammer. One of the things that I've noticed when I've gone around to different clubs is that a lot of the clubs are different, but there are a lot of similarities with with some of the clubs. So we can all learn from each other, and I think that's important too, that we share that information and grow from that. So. If you notice, one of the things I do when I talk with my hands. So I've tried to.
For all those of you on radio, you can see it very clearly.
Oh, very clearly.
Well, and I mean, this event has got to be really amazing for new Rotarians that have just joined, that maybe don't have as large of an exposure to Rotary as a whole from, not only the district level, but just kind of just seeing other clubs and how they handle things and what other people do. So it could be a really great opportunity for people like Chad, for Kelly, and like for all these new people that have joined Rotary in the last year and haven't had an opportunity to do something like this.
Yeah, before coming here, I was busy writing reports and stuff. And I just happened to look at our membership numbers for this year so far. We've had about 234 new members to join Rotary. Join this district, so that's great. We can always improve. I still have
celebrate
3
the
more
victory.
months. Yeah,
celebrate the victory.
Celebrate, absolutely. So, and this is one of those opportunities where they can get a chance to see what Rotary is all about.
Yeah.
So,
connect with people. Oh, you want to?
Wow! And just like that, that was 11 minutes.
Always goes quick.
It does. So we will go into. Was this third
segment?
Holy,
we got one left.
We got one left. This is my favorite one, so we're excited to hear about the future. So just a reminder, you are listening to Searching for Service with our guest, Lloyd Campbell. I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson. We'll see you after the break.
Rotary is a place for all community-minded people who want to serve their areas with the support of an international organization. Join Rotary to find service. Join Rotary to find inclusion. Join Rotary to find leadership. Join Rotary to find fun. Join Rotary to find friendship. Join Rotary to find a better version of the world. Find a Rotary Club near you at Rotary.org and click on Club Finder. There is a club out there for everyone. Find your fit with Rotary. Rotary.org.
For decades, eradicating polio worldwide has been Rotary's cornerstone cause. We are incredibly close to ridding the globe of this virus, but we need everyone's help to get us to the goal. World Polio Day is October 24th. Please consider making a new donation to Polio Plus or increasing your already generous giving. Go to endpolio.org to be a part of this historical eradication of polio. You will help get vaccinations to the most remote parts of our world and help fulfill a promise we made to end polio now. 2 drops and it stops.
Don't miss Leonard Skinner, Darius Rucker, REO Speedwagon, and Tyler Hubbard at Lakefront Music Fest, July 14th and 15th at Lakefront Park in Prior Lake. Leonard Skinner headlines July 14th with REO Speedwagon and Blackstone Cherry. Darius Rucker headlines July 15th with Tyler Hubbard of Florida Georgia Line and Joe Nichols. Tickets available at lakefrontmusicfest.com. That's lakefrontmusicfest.com. Produced by Prior Lake Rotary.
Riverbend Nature Center is a free, nonprofit natural habitat in Faribault, Minnesota, with 743 acres, the Straight River, and 10 miles of trails. Despite no public funding, it offers educational programs to almost 10,000 youth and families annually. Riverbend seeks your feedback on its new strategic plan at rbnc.org/strategic-planning by March 30th. Thank you for your time.
Welcome back to Searching for Service. We've got the great Lloyd Campbell on. And as a reminder, I'm Joe Kirk.
And I'm Chad Larson.
And I'm taking my feet up because that was a little deep there. Okay.
And we are definitely the part of the show where I always enjoy We love talking about the future. You know, that's kind of the cool thing about this show is that we kind of are shaping the future of Rotary through this show, listening to all of these great guests that come on, and we ask everybody, what do they see with the future of Rotary? What's really unique for you is you get to talk about this show. What's the future of this show? What would you love to see in the future? And then if you want to share what the future aspirations of the Lloyd Campbell.
Well, let's start with the Lloyd Campbell first. You know, in about 3 months, I'm going to pack my bags, go back to Glenwood, Minnesota, get into my easy chair, and
wrap up your governorship.
Yeah, just fall into the sunset, go into the sunset. And I'm a beekeeper, so I get a chance to do that. But that's just the personal side of my life.
You're serious? You're a beekeeper?
Oh yeah, I am. I enjoy it. I'm one of those, I guess, ecology people by accident.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the world and say, how can I impact it?
We're going to have you back. We're going to have you back on and just talk about beekeeping because this is fascinating.
Yeah, it is. But when I looked at the show, the whole idea of the show for me started when I was district membership chair. I met a gentleman who actually joined my club in Glenwood. He's now with Price Waterhouse, who actually had a podcast. This was the gentleman I was talking about from Cornell, and he was saying it was so many young people. He was 22, 23 at the time. And he was saying there are so many people who want to be involved in service. And he looked at the Glenwood Club and said, where are the young people? Where, and I looked at him and said, well, how do you contact them? He said, through a podcast. So he actually, pulled out his phone and said, this is what people are doing around the world. And these were young folks providing lights in Africa with solar cells or something. I still remember that. So I knew that just by listening to people, that a podcast or any type of instrument that you could use to reach out for that younger generation was going to be vital. And I thought that podcast would be one. So when the opportunity presented itself, I had to be DG. Then, this is why this show came about. The most interesting about it, I think I was at the Adana Rotary Club meeting, and I was talking about the idea of a podcast. Then just two people just jumped up out of their chair and start walking towards the front. I'm saying, I looked around and said, how can I get out of here? And they virtually almost attacked me and said, we want to do the podcast. And I said, okay. My voice elevated a little bit. I said, okay, I will do it.
Kelly remembers this story a whole lot differently.
She's not here.
She's not here. But this is how it happened.
But the rest has been
history.
Podcast history. So as far as what the direction of the show should go is that the intent is to reach out to that group of folks who never heard of Rotary and never been a part of it. And I think that's what it's doing now. We like to increase our audience, of course. Yep. And we are taking steps both on social media and getting other volunteers to help us with that so that we can extend our reach. And I think it's going to have a dramatic effect on membership. We already know there are people who talking to Rotary and talking to our membership chair because they heard of the show. Yep. So that is always something positive.
Not just me.
Not just you.
Not just you.
Not just you. Absolutely.
No,
so,
yeah, it was interesting. Like, one of the district membership chairs comes up to me and he's like, "Do you know that I just got a call from somebody that was listening to the show and wants to join?" I was like, "We're there!"
Yeah. So Rotary is an excellent product when you look at it in terms of a product of what we do. But when people don't know about it, they won't use it. They won't be a part of it. But once you can reach out and say, hey, you want to change the world? You want to have an impact? You want to do something different? You want to improve yourself? Then Rotary is the way to go. So
I think even if you've heard about it, understanding it, the misconceptions out there, and how you guys are evolving, or we're trying to evolve it. but B, how much more goes into it than I think most people think of it. Yeah, there's a service committee, but it's meetings every week, and it's that's only such a small part of what goes on, and so I think this helps to communicate that for even people that have heard of Rotary but don't fully understand it.
The thing about how Rotary is changing is we're changing that.
Yeah.
We're looking at it and said, instead of us saying this is Rotary, we're looking at our future Rotarians and said, what do you want?
Yeah.
And we're listening, and that can be a Rotary club that doesn't meet, that's only doing service projects, or only meet twice a week, or meet virtually. And because of that, you have a variety of due structures and stuff. So we're doing a variety of different things to meet our customers versus telling our customers this is what Rotary is.
I would say that there is a Rotary club for everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. And if there isn't, you could easily use the mechanism of Rotary to create it.
Yep.
And I've used that line a couple times too. Trust me. So that's what I see the future of this show.
Yeah.
It's going to be that arm that reaches out into those communities that we have not touched. Let them know about what Rotary is and invite them to be a part of Rotary. And they just get involved in service. You don't have to be a part of Rotary.
Yeah, even
just
if
be
they
a part
don't
of
join.
Rotary. If they don't join, that's fine. But if you want to do service, we want this to be the focal point where they can go and find about service opportunities. As far as what I think the direction Rotary is going in, when I talk about Rotary's in transition, when you look at it demographically, 51% of the U.S. is women. Rotary U.S. is a little more than 25% women. Our district is 33% women. So we're working hard at trying to have our clubs and our districts to look like our population. And that's a personal thing for me. Like I say, I grew up in a small town in Arkansas. Quick story. Do we have a quick time?
Yep.
Okay, a quick story. And my mother was a teacher. And the school system that we were in was 49% black. But my community did not have we did have summer school, but we had to go to summer school. So the only school in our area was a concrete building with small windows, no air conditioning. So I asked my mother, why in the heck do we have to go to this hot building in the summertime? And we were the only people doing that. But you see, we were in a small town, and farming was big, and cotton was king. So they needed labor to pick cotton in the fall. So the only way you could do it, we had to see so many days of school. So we had to go to the summer school, and then we had to be out in the fall to pick cotton. The school board at that time did not represent the population. The school board was all white. Yeah. As soon as we had one person of color on that board, summer school for us ended. So when I see organizations that don't represent their community, I know that they're missing an opportunity to hear what that community is saying about what their needs are.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful story to illustrate that point, because it's so simple to just say, oh, it needs to reflect your community. Well, you're missing so many of the perspectives and the needs when you don't have it represent your community, and you're not serving your community the best way that you should be.
Yeah, it's interesting. I read a study by McKinsey & Company, a consulting firm that talked about diversity. One of the things that they mentioned is that those companies, and they looked at 1,000 large companies that were diverse, actually were more profitable than those companies that were just not diverse at all.
That makes complete
sense.
So
it's because they were able to touch their market area, know what people wanted, and get a diverse collection of ideas instead of being just one type. So diversity was so important as far as profitability goes. So
we'll be champions of diversity going forward for you.
Okay.
Carry that torch.
Yes.
As your governorship. As your governorship ends, and I'd love to hear all of that all of those stories that you've told. So, I mean, you've been an amazing guest today. And you should have been guest number 1, but we'll take guest number, I don't know what episode we're on now, like 20?
20-something?
No, 20-something.
Wow.
We're
Okay.
20-something, so we're
Wow.
the elite of the elite already. So
Well,
thank you so much for joining
I always
us.
like
I'm
to be
sorry you had to
20-something.
get a guest co-host instead of Kelly here.
This is why we're on radio. But thank you so much,
Thank you.
Lloyd. And
Thank you for having me.
thank you, everybody, for listening to the show today. As a reminder, you listen to Searching for Service. I'm your host, Joe Kirk, with me.
And I'm Chad Larson. Thanks for listening.
And just as a reminder, it's time to stop searching and start serving.